lost it. Okay. You have roll call. Say your name, please. Go around the circle. Say your name. John. Got the roll?
Joe.
Yeah, we're good.
I'm here.
All right, since John's not here, it is me. Does everybody read over the minutes? Any questions, comments, corrections? Everybody approve the minutes?
Motion approved.
Motion approved.
I second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. Field operations supervisor report, please.
Morning, we need. During some rain days, we did get 2 new ends made, part of the tunnel at the dog park, and painted it, so next rainy day we'll put it all together, get it down there.
Okay, that's good. Park looks nice.
Do something else, Oh, and we're also working on making some more benches for down there. Valley has donated some aluminum bleacher boards to us, so
Oh, up for the dog park.
dog park and some more in the park.
I was curious if you would be interested in the bench up between the holes.
There's a few places that would use some benches.
Yeah.
I was eventually gonna just make them out of wood and like stain them, but if we can utilize some of that, that'd be great. You know, if not.
I think I got enough plank in the base 6 benches, so would that be a seat in the back?
'Cause there's a lot of really nice styles of benches that they use at disc golf courses that are pretty easy to make. 4x4 posts and then just. 2x4s.
What do we think about that? Like, you made benches, I think if they did it for the disc golf, they should all be the same.
And,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
sure.
and that's kind of what I was thinking. And I was kind of wanting to keep them wood maybe just because it'd be easier for me to do it, you know, and come out of our budget that way versus, you know, buying like a metal one. So, I mean, if you want to utilize those in other places, that's totally fine with me. We don't plan on putting a bench in every tee pad, but there are some tee pads, especially in the summer, once you get to those holes, you're
Yeah, like,
kind of worn
and
out.
there's shade spots.
Nice shade spots, so.
Well, and I know in the last year during the tournament, you had said when we were setting up, back in the wooded holes, when it kind of gets congested back there, it'd be nice to have some back there,
Yeah,
so.
and then like on 8, once you play 7, you come up across 8 where the main sign is, the tee pad's kind of under that tree, that'd be a great spot for
Yeah,
us.
that goes behind the park house a little bit, but that hole kind of starts to go behind.
Yeah, but up at the top where the tee
Yeah.
pad is, there's a nice shade tree. And usually by the time you get there during the summertime,
Mhm.
you're pretty tired walking hills. at that
Yeah,
point.
because I was up by, I guess it's 4,
Yeah.
7, by the towers, 4, 6 or something like that. That's a nice shade. Okay.
So we don't have to utilize the other ones for the disc golf, we can put those other places.
Those would definitely be good at the dog park. Dogs is not cheap on metal, but
Now there by 8, where there's that little strip of playground where we got the old sidewalk that kind of just stops, maybe one right around that area, because I do see people pull up and try to utilize that. You know, there's a little shelter there, but maybe like around those playground equipment, maybe something right there would be nice. So.
Okay, can I ask what is your routine like with cleanup and trash with the parks?
That's what
Like,
we're
is it
gonna
daily or?
No, it's Mondays and Fridays.
Okay, because here I am back at Valley Springs Park again, but that bathroom is just, the entryways is just a cluster of debris all the time. When I walk down.
We usually
there.
try cleaning the bathrooms like 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
I just was wondering if there could just be like one guy designated every morning just to go do a quick sweep of all the bathrooms, to make sure they're not stocked up and they're not dirt or trash left in them. Just knock that out like the first half hour or whatever. Would that be possible? Thank you. Especially the Valley Springs, just really dirty. Because all the leaves blow in there and stuff. So they have these pads, those, like,
Little rubber pad.
one of those, what are those things called, doormat things that, I don't know what those are, but they're really gross. I think we can get rid of them. Maybe somebody thought they needed it, or whoever was living in the bathroom last year, you're trying to make it feel more like home. Yes. Anything else, sir? Anybody else have anything for Gary? Questions, comments, opinions?
25th of July, second annual fair market open, so. But as for the city, that's just a nice mow job, pretty much, we pretty much handle all the other stuff, so.
Chuck, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
What's that?
Can you repeat that? I missed it.
July 25th will be the second annual Paramarquette Open Disc Golf Tournament.
Okay.
So it's a Sunday, to pretty much run all day there at the park.
Okay, thank you.
So as for field operations, it's just a good mow job on the park. So.
Looking
we
forward
take
to
care of
it.
everything else, so.
I guess while we're on that topic, did you already get the, or did Brittany already get the pavilion reserved?
We actually, the disc golf club, we pay for the pavilion rental and stuff.
I know, I just wanted to make sure you had the date
Yep.
reserved.
Yep, it's all reserved, it's all paid for, deposit, check deposits there, so, we're all good to go on that end,
All right, cool.
so.
Is it silly, or would it make sense for like the park to do a poll?
Like sponsor?
A
hole?
sponsor hole.
Well, we got all the sponsor, all the
They all-
holes are sponsored already.
Okay.
Yeah, we filled that up pretty quick.
All right, great. I was
So,
just, in future ones, would that be something the park would do?
I mean, it would. I
Not
mean,
generally.
Most of the time, it's,
Okay.
yeah, it's $20 to sponsor a hole, usually, I mean, a lot of the disc golfers just sponsor holes, you know,
Right.
just to help tournaments happen, so. But we did have some local companies that participated, like Ciro's participated, so.
I'm sorry, what, who did?
Ciro's.
You gonna do pizza again?
I don't know about that. I don't know, because I'm working some, I did that just because I did that, and staff and labor is so restricted because
Now,
nobody needs to work.
if we decide to serve lunch, could we just order a set amount of pizzas from you and have them there at a certain time?
Yes.
Okay, because that's what a lot of people do, they just order pizzas from Domino's or Pizza Hut, and they'll just have 10 pizzas sitting there, and then at lunchtime, everybody just eats whatever, and then we just pay you for it, you know.
Right,
upfront.
also box lunch type things, a sandwich and a bag of chips could be a possibility
Okay,
too.
that's something that we can definitely talk about then.
Okay, great.
Park house will not be available. Police department is working out of the park house, so.
And that's what I was saying, we could just order pizzas and just have them, because we got the pavilion, we can just,
Yep.
and that's what most tournaments do, if they serve a lunch, it's just
Yeah.
pizzas on the table with paper plates and some, a thing of sodas, and everybody just
And I-
grabs what they
yeah.
want.
And I feel like it was a bit of a long walk for people,
Yeah.
because they were going back to the pavilion to check in with the
Yeah,
other
I think
golfers,
it
and
would work
then,
better if we just had a
walk
table
back,
that
yeah.
just had some food on it.
Perfect.
Yeah, so, and everybody's happy with that, as long as you got something to put in your stomach between rounds.
yeah.
Nobody really wants to eat a big meal, because then you'll never make it through your second round, so.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to old business. Master plan fundraising committee. Okay, Barbara, I'll give you the floor.
Okay, as most of you know, the lady that we were hoping would help us with the fundraising backed out. So we sat down, and these are not for public because it's still preliminary, so that's why the press is not getting copies. So we sat down with Nick last week, and he helped us come up with some figures as far as what we guesstimate each one of these items will cost. So I put it on a spreadsheet. I'm big on spreadsheets. I tried to put the, basically what was on our master plan. And the only thing I don't have is the parking lot information. Somebody was supposed to get me information on parking lot.
But Happy, you sent that today, didn't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
So
It's in your email box. Happy just sent it today.
Okay, and I haven't checked my email. I was working in the city today, so that's the only thing I don't have on here. But you can look it over, and then Nick did send me an additional, as far as improving the picnic areas. That was in addition to what we talked about, and T-ball field. And so those were 2 additions to this spreadsheet. So we're looking at a substantial amount of money to do it all. So our next thing is, how do we do it? How do we get this amount of money? And do we want to try and find another consultant, or do we think we can do it on our own?
Well, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say, I would look, I mean, you're talking a huge amount of money, not a huge amount of money, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's a substantial amount of money, and I think it would be in our best interest to kind of look at having somebody do like a fundraising campaign like she was talking about.
Yeah.
And that reason I said, I don't know, I know I have a busy schedule, everybody here works, you know, I'm committing the time to raise that kind of money.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Well, I like the idea of when we had stuff broke down into 3 phases.
Yeah.
The thing with the consultant, like she wanted to have everything done within 18 months. And do we have all of our, I mean, we have estimates of stuff, but like your adventure playground, you know what that's gonna cost, which you got
No,
one picked out?
June
Or
10th
is the consultant gonna pick it out? I mean,
Yeah.
you're
Well,
gonna
I
pay
think the
somebody and
18
they may be making
The
decisions
18
for
months,
us.
the 18 month, I think, is more of like the fundraising efforts, not for projects to be done. So it was that she would come in on one day and then she would be in and out in 18 months. I don't think the plan was that the project, the whole park would be renovated in 18
No,
months.
Yeah, but the money, but we don't really know what we're doing and what each
Yeah.
individual thing really.
Well, that's what the spreadsheet was. Like, we cushioned almost everything
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
make
give her a
sure.
little
Because like,
leeway on
one of
stuff,
the,
you know.
one of the playgrounds Lauren had shown me was roughly 100,000, but we cushioned it pretty heavily to make sure that we covered that.
Yes,
Yeah.
And see, we've got 3 playgrounds in here. We have the large adventure playground, we have a small one by the big pavilion, and a small one by CS, I guess.
The corporate.
The corporate shelter.
Corporate Street, yeah. So, we've got several, but the thing is, and I agree with what this gal said, we do it in phases, but if we get enough money for the 3 things, and then we go right back out to the people and go, oh, we want more money,
Yeah.
they're not gonna get it. That's why you do your whole entire, and if we don't achieve this amount, then we break it down and say, okay, we only have X amount of money. We can do the first 3 phases, or we can do 2 of the phases, and the last phase we can't do.
Now, what do we do if we got money, like if we, what do we do with our cost that's not used? Or our surplus of money?
If we get,
Like, say we do get this, $2,532,000. I'm sorry.
Bucks 49.
$1.49.
There you go. What if we do get that and it only costs a certain amount of money? What do we do with that extra money?
I have not seen a public project yet that comes under budget that much. Yeah,
But-
it's more than likely, it could then be applied to either redoing fields,
Or just
Yeah.
maintenance? It can
Maintenance.
just-
maintenance, yeah, because you're gonna have maintenance
It can
costs on
stay in
all
that
of
account and
this.
just keep feeding like upgrades and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
there's a lot of things that haven't been detailed out in our plan, like,
Well, even
as
the-
far as like painting all the pavilions, and likeness, putting new benches in there that are all matching. Like there's all these different things that you can do in there. And then, mind you, we have these other parks that will eventually be roped into our master plan as soon as we start planning for them and adopting them. I had a conversation with Nick the other day and asked him how we go about trying to execute this master plan for Pierre Marquette Park, but not allowing our other parks to fall dormant.
Yeah.
And he said that what you kind of do is you start planning out for all the, you're thinking big picture, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road, you're thinking big picture for all your parks. And then you're starting to set 5-year goals. So 5 years from now, we want to have this done in Pierre Marquette Park, but we also want to get a pump track down in the skate park, or we want to get better equipment down in the dog park, or things like that. So you're setting 5-10-year goals for all your park facilities. So there's, as we start adopting these, the public might be a little bit more involved in putting those funds towards that.
Yeah, because I had, somebody suggested that we put a walking trail at the park there, Pinkley Park, because, and this person is an older person and said they'd love to be able to walk around there. It would be perfect, there's no hills, and that would be a perfect place for another trail. That would be something that's in a plan later on. But if we get more than what I'm sure nobody's going to object to us spending any extra on improvements, either, extra little improvements to these things, or taking the money and moving it to Pinkley Park or the dog park or whatever. We're not gonna pocket it, that's for sure.
And that's just, I'm just worried about outside looking in. Because sometimes outsiders looking in are
Yeah.
And that was, we talked about that
the problem.
at the meeting. That's a big concern for mine. I just want to make sure that whatever we're fundraising for and whatever we say, like one of the things we discussed was the multi-purpose center where the tennis parks are. Discussion seems to kind of be flowing more towards that could be primarily a hockey area. And I just felt like if that's what it's going to be, we need to advertise that this is what it's going to be and not call it a multi-purpose. So those are the kinds of things that run through my mind too. I just want to make sure that whatever we're doing, the public feels like we're being very transparent and open with, yes, they are spending my money where they said they're going to.
We overestimated, on a lot of this stuff. We, well, let's take the adventure park, we thought, it was gonna be X amount of money, and of course, I put $20,000 more to it. So that,
There's a good chance that's still gonna be short.
well, there is, but still,
Because where that's going, there's gonna be thousands of dollars worth of dirt work.
well, yeah, and this was, well, it says landscape and equipment, but,
And I think the walking trail, going where the master park plan is wanting, like where it's designed on a two-dimensional piece of paper, that's way short. Because some of those spots, to put a trail there, you gotta have a retaining wall, then you're gonna have a handrail because the retaining wall is gonna be.
and see, that amount, that footage there, that was what Nick, I don't know how he came up with it, I think he did a geo thing on it. And I put it at a mile. But he said no, and then the additional, 200 feet around that pond. Yeah, and we would adjust on what is on the master plan over there by where you're coming, was it Matthews Drive? You would run, because you've got.
JC Drive.
JC Drive,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, JC Drive. You would actually take the trail and don't cross the disc golf and run it along JC Drive and come down so you don't interfere, which I think adds a little bit more footage to it than what, so these are guess, I mean, and that price, where did we get that,
On that estimate?
that estimate?
That was estimated early on.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, I mean, I got an estimate from my buddy just replacing the existing,
yeah,
without doing any seating strong or any of that, and it was close to that number.
Okay.
But it was at 0.2 of a mile.
And these are just a reminder, just a rough projections, so that, you know, we're not trying to raise $100,000. It's gonna be way more than that. You know, these are big projects, so it's getting us in the ballpark. Some of these projects we're gonna be short on, and some of them we're gonna be over on. In the end, it may even out, but we're probably gonna have to aim higher than what we're seeing
I
here.
think what it boils down to is, how are we gonna get this money? Let's go
and
back
that's
to
what,
that.
and that's what is, do we look again for somebody to to help us come in and help us write the letter and do the fundraising, you know, because really, I've talked to Sarah Menard about it, because she was involved with the new museum and that, and basically, they come in, they do the study, they already have, and then they help you write the letters, but you have to go out and do the legwork.
Yeah.
So it would mean going out and doing the legwork. And we can ask people for money, but like Wendy said, if you ask somebody, oh, can you give us 5,000, and they could give us 50,000, you gotta know who you can ask big bucks from, as opposed to somebody you can ask small dollars from.
Now, here's small town. Does that fly in a small town? One person being asked one thing and then somebody else asking another thing just based off of their income.
That's what they do for, yeah.
That may be the standard. To me, on just being an American, I don't know, you know, to me, that just kind of seems like it's kind of stepping a little bit of bounds
Well, because,
on people and their
I
private
think that
life.
goes to their professionalism on corporate, more business-like, instead of, you know, you going out, keep your thing here, you got to.
And I guess that's what I gather, like, they're just gonna see who's worth what and then see
Yeah.
what we can, to me, that just seemed like kind of overstepping some stuff, but.
well, I mean,
That's just
that's
my
that's the
opinion.
way they do it. I mean, when the church did their big thing, putting all the stuff at Valley Field and everything, I got a letter and it says you could give X amount of money, and I laughed.
Yeah.
I said, and where am I gonna find that money?
Yes.
So it's more of a general thing, you know, can you give this amount? And if you can, okay, if you can't, well, what do you know?
I was just curious how that was gonna work in a small town. I know up in St. Louis, nobody's in nobody's business.
Yeah.
You know, everybody just kind of does their own thing and doesn't pay
But
attention.
see, this is what they do all over. I mean, this is what these consulting firms do, is they do, what kind of study is it? A feasibility study. And they see what's out here. So, and,
I guess
you
it was
know,
the $20,000 price tag for the field study that
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'm in the wrong business. I
and, you
guess.
know, there may be, you know, we're trying for some grants, but, you know, we may be able to tap into some corporations, national corporations, to get money for different things, so.
Can I ask you a question from your experience and your, hello, Mr. Carroll, nice of you to join us. I know, you just said Chinese. All your dealings with your past, your position and everything, I mean, what is your take on this?
Well, I think the committee's been doing some good work and trying to line up some basic ballpark ideas, but I think you have to, for a number like that, we're gonna have to have professional help. And the best way that I know to do it would be to get a list of good providers, and there's plenty of them, especially, of course, in St. Louis, but probably elsewhere as well. Then we get the city to help us describe our project as well as we can at this point. I would send it around, once we get what we think is a good description of what we're trying to do, send it out to that list and ask for proposals. And then, in other words, the only thing wrong with the Wendy deal was you can't sign a contract with that kind of dough without competitive
Oh, yeah.
evaluations.
And we were kind of looking just for guidance
Sure,
from her.
and she was giving it to us, and
Yeah.
that's great. But if we're gonna get down to a contract, I think we have to send it out to as a large well, I say large, 5 to 10 good qualified companies. I do think we need the city's help in helping us describe the scope of the project, what it's for, and ask them for proposals and see what they tell us. And then see which one we like.
Yeah, because I would imagine some of them would be like, oh, this, no, this isn't, like they have their own little criteria, like what they're gonna.
Well, and I think our master plan has a lot of all the information. I mean, it says what we want, what we're,
Well, that should probably go into the
yeah,
request for proposals.
yeah.
But the only thing is they need to realize that Paramarquette Park is a very hilly park. So like I said, a lot of that stuff looks great on a two-dimensional piece
Yeah.
of paper. Throw that into a 3D scale and
Yeah,
it's
and you've
completely
got-
different. It's completely different.
Yeah.
So,
It's like
I mean, like
Woodbridge not wanting to
like
do
the
a
walking
picture.
path around the pond, I mean, it's all hills going to that pond.
Well, you
So,
can-
I mean, to make a walking path around there, I mean, or we build an inner retaining wall all the way around.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have a handrail if it's too, and then that's maintenance on the city, maintaining handrails, so. I mean, I think it's a great idea, but I think there's a lot of stuff that may just be too far-fetched for that park because it's a pretty hilly park. I mean,
We probably need a longitude, latitude type,
well, I'm wanting to say, Donzie had where he could kind of tell like
Mhm.
somewhat, and that's kind of where it kind of winded around, like he was trying to get around some of the high points and,
Yeah.
utilize the shape of the land, but the shape of the land is up and down. Like Gary said, there's not a flat spot that they mow, I mean, everything's a hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those are engineering issues. That's not a fundraising consultant issue.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect them to be able to.
But no,
solve
but
it.
this 450,000
Well, okay.
for what's on that piece of paper is way short, I think.
Assuming we come up with numbers we all agree on. Those are, we submit those to a group of respected, qualified, referenced fundraising consultant companies.
Is that what they're called? Or is there a name? for
Development, capital development firms, I mean, there are names, different names, but there are plenty of them. And,
Oh, yes, there are.
and they have different views, and some would be interested in our scale and some would not. And so that's, you gotta do a little bit of research on that and get a good list. And then develop a package that we're comfortable with and get whatever number we want on it and send that out. And we'll get some proposals,
Oh, yeah.
because we can do this. I guarantee you we can do this.
I just think we just need to decide if we're on board to go do this stuff, to get a capital development. I mean, it's obvious.
Well, we can send the information out and get the information back and decide from there if it looks like it's too,
Yeah, we don't have to accept any of them.
Yeah.
Right, I just wanted to make, if we're all on board with continuing on with a professional.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
Let's
on
just
board,
do
but
this.
I do think we need to shop around a little bit and get some.
Correct,
different
so that's what I'm
views
saying, let's
versus
just do this step by step. We agree that we need to continue with the professional, because we are so unprofessional.
like, this is just basic. I
Right.
mean, this is to throw something out, because we had nothing to begin with, And like I
Laura,
said, some of
what you
this.
meant to say was that our professionalism lies in other areas than capital development consulting, and we need to
Help.
help.
Yes.
Like, I really like the idea of, wasn't it thrown around, taking don't we have like $40,000 or something, and redoing the path from the big pavilion parking lot, running down past the basketball courts, crossing the road and then going down to those next areas?
That's the first phase of the,
Yeah.
of the trail that we've decided, kind of roughed in, because everything elevation-wise will be, and how it loops around will be based off of that area.
And I think that'd be a great selling point on just trying to like do
Yeah.
fundraising, because they'd be able to go out there and actually see, okay, this is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Throughout the park.
As far as the money you were talking about, I'm not sure if you're referring to the
I thought there
local
were-
community grant that we got
Yeah, I
for
thought there
it.
was something that we got that was
That
like-
will be based on whether we get the state grant
Oh, I got you.
as well.
I got you.
Yeah, so, and I don't believe that's supposed to be awarded till September.
Okay,
So we're kind of in limbo while we
I
wait to
got you.
hear on that.
I got you.
But there are feelers out there to try to get that funding through grants
Okay.
right now. for
I think
phase
that'd be
one.
a great start, at least on the walking trail.
We're hearing lots of talk about big numbers related to COVID relief
Mhm.
monies. Would this be a project that would be qualified to compete for those kind of funds?
So the Treasury, the United States Treasury just came out recently with their more specified uses of the COVID relief funds. The Board of Aldermen have a work session coming up this week. I believe we're going to kind of hit on it a little bit more to talk about how we can spend those funds. But the primary expenses are for like water, sewer infrastructure, COVID-related relief, lost wages, those types of things. Believe me, I am trying to work in what I can for the parks. I don't know how exactly that could fit in just yet with the new guidance, but
Well, it's a possibility.
I am looking into
We should
every avenue,
certainly
yes.
explore that as a source. I mean, if not for every
Yeah.
project, maybe for some project.
Yeah, I am looking into it because, I mean, what we've seen this past year, the role that parks have played since the onset of the pandemic has been
Exactly.
unreal nationwide.
Exactly.
It's been the conversation that every Parks and Recreation Department and national organization has been having is how important, even when their programs were cut, how important just having open space, safe places to walk, safe places to get outside have been. So definitely looking at every angle that we could possibly get for these. I don't know if it'll fit in given the guidance from the Treasury, but we'll definitely see where we can, what we can fit
Even you
in.
said sewage and water.
Water.
I mean.
Water and sewer,
Would
yeah.
that be included, like, in new bathrooms and all that kind of stuff, or is it just mainly for the town, that kind of? I mean, if we want to nitpick and get anything we can.
I think we're still kind of learning and seeing with that, but that is one of my questions as well, is if there's water sewer work up in the park that could qualify. But we do have some large expenditures too with our actual water sewer department. That, we were granted 800,000 roughly, and 800,000 roughly in these ARP funds. And so figuring out long-term how that's going to be best for the entire city is going to be a big thing, but we will try to fit in what we can with the parks and those discussions and budgeting, so.
Well, I think that we need to start with the sending out, what do we do first? Get our plan, or let's get a list of these people that we would want to send a plan to
Yeah.
first. I mean, we could be working on all that at the same
Well, I mean,
time.
honestly, this would probably be good just to get ideas if companies are interested, right? I mean, this is,
Between this and our park plan book, which was
Yeah, I mean,
made for that purpose, to give.
It'd at least
out
get
to-
companies that would be interested to at least give us their time to explain what they think we should do or what their numbers are gonna be to try to make this work.
And I would imagine Nick might be helpful in this area
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. with people.
Yeah, he was supposed to be getting us some names, I thought. He was gonna check with some of the people that he knows. And I think his wife had been involved with some capital campaigns. I thought that's what he told me. So,
Well, I think
I'm giving it to him.
keep on top of that.
Yeah.
But if we're all in agreement that definitely we need professional assistance, then we need to keep going with that. Anybody else have anything to say on that matter?
They're gonna do it.
Okay. So we'll either check the neighbor. Thank you, Barbara.
So I just want to, if we're done with that portion of it, I wanted to touch on the movie in the parks, because ours will be, the library and museum are doing theirs this Saturday. So Jurassic Park and the park's happening Saturday. Ashley, were you planning on going up and doing the sidewalk chalk again, since you got rained on?
I don't know if I'll make it up there
Okay.
again, because that was a little bit lengthy of a project, but
Okay.
it seemed like some people, yeah, so for those that don't know, I went up the Friday before the event and chalked some like dinosaur feet on the path and posted it to the Facebook
Yeah.
page. And as soon as I posted it to the Facebook page, I was getting ready to leave the park, and a minivan pulled up and 2 kids hopped out, and their parents had seen it on there, so the boys were just excited to walk around and see it. So I think it got some use, but I don't know if I'll have time this week to do it, but
Okay.
I don't know if there is something that we can do, then I'm all for it,
Okay.
but.
So ours will be June. They are going to, on Saturday, they've got like, they look like movie tickets, but it has like the Frozen on it, so they'll pass those out as a way to promote next month's movie. And then I am still waiting to hear back about the princesses coming. It sounded promising, so fingers crossed they can do it. We also talked about having a like mini concession stand from the park as just a small fundraiser, and having like bottled water, juice boxes, or soda. The library and museum had asked if we would be interested in purchasing whatever they don't sell this weekend, and we can use it for ours as well. I also I'm part of the PTO for the public school, and so we had field day and we have leftover cases of water. So I went ahead and just took it with me. I figured if that's still our plan, then I have that stuff at my house, and I can just send the city a bill for that. But before I like commit and say, sure, we'll buy this for X amount of dollars or whatever, I just need approval from you all saying that you're okay with that. And maybe like a rough idea right now, I would say, so for PTO, we bought like $1,100 worth of stuff from Sam's, and we made over $2,000. So the stuff that I have at the house is probably about $175 worth of stuff. It may all go that first night, and if it doesn't, I can use it for the following month too. So we can kind of see how June goes. So if you guys can approve, I don't know what the museum will have left over, so that's my only like hold up. But if we were to approve maybe like $250 for concession stuff, and then I can revisit after the June movie, and we can have a conversation about what was made, what was.
I don't see a problem with that.
Okay. Okay.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
We gotta do it officially.
I also wanted to throw out if the park board would be interested in selling drinks at the fireworks.
That would be-
I was gonna ask if there was any involvement that the park board would be interested in for that, that
That's
you saw fit.
June
25th.
20th.
Gary, would you like the parks to set up a Facebook event page for that? The parks page, or do you wanna do it, or?
I'm setting one up.
Okay,
I'm
that's
gonna
fine.
put a business spotlight on it.
Gotcha.
Everybody can donate.
Would it make sense that the park page have one too? Just to-
Huh?
Would it make sense that the park page would have one too?
I mean,
just
we
to-
can, or we can there's a way you can do the co-host on there. you
So
know.
it's still one event, but two
But all
hosts.
parties, yeah. I don't wanna take away from Gary's, efforts here.
Sam, I
Can
don't
his
see-
efforts just be shared onto the parks page?
Yeah, I mean, it's just all whatever everybody's comfortable with, I don't wanna say too much.
I don't think
But-
you can overdo it.
Yeah, I think
This one
promoting the
is
park
fine.
This one?
Good, thanks.
So back to you, Sam, did you get what you needed? Yes?
Yes. Well, can you say,
Yeah, we gotta do it like
Yeah.
a professional.
I need you to do it.
Okay.
Got a motion?
We got a motion to give her some money?
$250.
$250,
I second
movie
it.
night?
All in favor?
all opposed?
Opposed?
Motion passes.
Motion
We
passes.
need John here. Where's John at?
I'm trying.
Thank you.
No, we did. We're
You're
good.
welcome. Do you guys have rain dates for any of the other movies?
Not really. We're just gonna keep our fingers crossed and it's not gonna rain. We did encounter, so after the last meeting, Toby came up to me to let me know that like 3 of the 5 of our movies have go-karts or the lawnmower races the same night. So yeah.
I thought about that already.
So we went up there a couple weekends ago when they had it going on, and we, like me and my family, and it really wasn't as loud as you would have expected.
I don't think so either.
It's-
You're both-
Yes, because of the hills, you hear them, but they're not loud. And then even when the announcers came on, you could hear that somebody's talking, but you can't make out what they're saying. So I think by the time we get both of our huge speakers up and our sound is coming at them, I don't think you'll hear it at all. So I'm not worried. So now, yes, just fingers crossed, no rain.
And is the church having any more movies?
Yes, so the church usually, they do it like a couple times during the summer, but they usually do it like on Friday evenings. That we're members of that church, and so I can, and I'm good friends with the secretary, so I can check with her to make sure that things don't overlap, so that everybody works as a community. I can say something to them.
Having, doing this for us now, going the other night, did you learn anything, or did you pay more attention to other things that you?
We definitely need to start movies at 8 or after. We started that one at 7:30, and it was very hard to see. It was still too bright out. They got a screen that's very similar to the one Sean just got. So hopefully this weekend, Sean will be able to work out any kinks he has, but I know when they first projected the movie, it was so tiny on that screen. So then as it started to get darker, they were able to then, I guess, see and make it a little bit bigger. But yeah, definitely 8 o'clock was pretty good. We could see it. It still wasn't dark out, but you could at least see the screen. Whereas at 7:30, it was still, it was pretty big. Other than that, I mean, they do like concessions. Theirs is all free stuff, but and everything's kind of behind the screen, whereas like when we talked about where our setup would be, we would be as away from the screen as possible. We were actually, Sean's talking about putting up some rope or something just to deter people from getting anywhere close to the screen, or wires, just so that something doesn't get unplugged. So we do have Luna's reserved, or has already RSVP'd that they will be there. There's talk of a couple others, but nobody other than Luna's has reached out to us to let us know. So, but we also told them they didn't need to let us know till like 2 weeks in advance. So,
But we'll make those updates to the event page on Facebook
Yes.
to let the public know. And I think the local news and stuff kind of sees that, and we'll make sure they know to put in stories if they need. But with this being the last meeting before the movie, is there anything that you need from us, or do we need to do a call for volunteers?
so we plan on being there, so I figured
I don't plan on being there,
concession
so.
stand, they'll only, 2 people working probably isn't that big of a deal. I think Sean's taking care of any, like the library table, I think is gonna have like, actually, he may not be there at the January one. Or June one, sorry.
I won't be
Goodness, yeah. The June one, there's he had the bee festival the same day.
Yeah.
So I think he's coming to set up, but then I don't think he's planning on having like a table for the library. But sometimes he said that they would have like printouts, that kind of stuff. PTO, the Parents as Teachers organization. They work with community children from birth until kindergarten. It's a completely free program. They go into the homes about once a month and just help parents, work with their kids, and it's for every community, or, every community child. But they had reached out to ask if they could attend as well and have like a little table, and they're gonna have packets for kids that have printouts, activity sheets, like I think some stickers, stuff like that, and then I think they're gonna include like either a small bag of popcorn or like a small little like snack item of some sort. So they will be there as well.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
So if you have a booth, do you need change? You gonna need like a little cash drawer?
Yeah, that's probably true. Good thinking.
Yeah, I would definitely
And-
have change on hand.
Yes, I think for the most part, everything will be like 50 cents or $1. So, and I can put together, like the week or two before, I'll send you and Pam that info, that way you guys have it, and I can get with you then. Okay.
So is there any interest in doing it on the fireworks or not?
I mean,
Oh, do some concessions or something?
yeah,
And that's on what day?
Friday, the 25th of June.
25th.
Since I've taken on my new position, I would love to help everybody, but
Yeah.
I'm.
I can be out there both nights to help with whatever is needed, so.
I've never been in the park during the fireworks, so I'm not sure like where either.
They're everywhere.
Parks and. they're just
Everywhere. It's just mass chaos.
Just kind of all over the place. I think the soccer field tends to be the core area for a lot of
Ice
people.
and kettle corn's gonna be on the little soccer field parking
Okay.
Is,
You know, it'd be cool.
Uni Band gonna be there?
lot. I haven't heard back from them.
If you got an Oreo trading now about like glow sticks. those
Yeah,
are
so that was something Sean and I talked about. I should have maybe thrown that into my budget. Was he had mentioned like glow sticks and that kind of thing. They always seem to be a huge hit with
Dollar
kids.
Tree. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. They always
I
have
just
a
went
bunch.
camping all weekend with my daughter and I bought like $30 worth of glow stuff and all the kids camping.
Do they have them out right now?
Yeah, they have
Okay.
them all up. Yeah, I just bought
And you can,
them last
okay.
Friday.
they'll order them for you.
And I was gonna s-
No, I didn't even come close, but they
Okay.
got bracelets, necklaces, the actual like glow stick, I forget
Yes.
what they call them, but.
Because we bought them for the pumpkin glow, and the kids love
The
them.
kids
So
love them,
yeah, so maybe I'll swing by there too, and I'll pick up some. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Don't give Mark no glow sticks.
All right, let's move along here, all right, folks? So what else do we need to talk about on that? Anything? Concessions done, movie done, pray for good weather, okay. The bikes, I have a playground meeting, okay, tentatively, let's get to the playground. Do we want to go to the trail committee? We've already pretty much touched on that, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, Steve is going to, it's June 10th, this is Thursday. It'll be a tentative meeting, just gonna throw that out. I said I would keep in touch with them on that, because until this kind of gets rolling, I don't know what we're looking at, how much money we're gonna have to spend, or.
Well, it's kind of what we want. Yeah,
Well, I mean,
so-
now we have 3 different playgrounds, and also, do we want to include, what kind of flooring, I call it flooring, for playgrounds? Have we even thought about that? Do we want the stuff, like he said, you could get it all in a package, or you get different grants for the,
We had talked about with the rubber mat, like the interlocking rubber mats. Yeah.
well, there's that, and there's the foamy stuff, there's all different kinds, and then there's also just back to the mulch. I personally would like.
I would go with something more accessible.
Yeah, the rubberized mats tend to be,
Okay.
accessible
'Cause that's a
for,
whole another cost too.
Yeah.
That's what.
and the other two playgrounds, Lauren, we were talking like the smaller scale. They're basically just there because maybe adults will be, utilizing something else that's currently there, so that they're just smaller in size. So you don't have to worry about them being like too big or anything like that, but.
Every time.
Are you talking something kind of like what would, like kind of like what's that, Hinkley Park now?
No.
Something along
Even
that- something along
maybe,
them
yeah,
lines.
maybe even half that, yeah, like
Okay,
half
well,
that
well,
size,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And I would think for those, you're probably looking at like kids ages like 8 and under kind of thing,
Mhm.
yeah. So, and then the big one would be all-inclusive for any age, any,
And we talked about, if we have the 3 playgrounds, removing some of the playground equipment we have now, we, keep, but then like some of it we could
What you would
move.
want to keep.
Well, some of it, like the swings, those big swings and stuff, we could move to another park,
Yeah.
We'll reutilize equipment we're not going to be using in the master plan.
But getting rid of the plastics,
Right.
they're faded and everything, so.
Yes. Okay, bathrooms committee. About the bike race, that all sounds good, and there was just no way that was gonna happen this year. COVID was kind of just no
It
way.
would have been nice if we could have, but.
It's a production.
Yeah.
I used to
Yeah.
date a cyclist and we went to a couple races and it was an all-out production, so it's gonna take a lot of teamwork for that one.
Okay, on down to the new business, the park cleanup day, that was just talked about, and, if that happens, I think that would just, I would get with you and we could just put it on the Facebook page or something like that.
What's that, I'm sorry?
Um,
cleanup?
Clean up the park, pick up
Yeah,
parties,
just
clean up,
take a day and.
yeah, and scouts could get involved and all that stuff, but haven't done that, it's like I said, not gonna work. Fireworks, the day is set, right? The new date,
Can you get over here? What time? Dark. Thank you.
I mean, that's, we
like
just go
8:30,
by.
9 o'clock.
Probably by 8:45.
We just go by when it's dark enough. There's not really setting up.
okay, so
Sunset
there
that night
Where-
is 8:28
there would be
p.m.
one more meeting before,
The
No,
June,
it's-
the June meeting falls the Monday
Right
after the
Yeah.
event. So, unless you guys want to schedule a special,
for,
Thing.
yeah, like for concessions or something, I think we need to do that. Another Monday, perhaps, anybody, any thoughts? We'll see.
Well, it's coming weeks, Memorial Weekend, probably don't like that.
Okay. June.
I would maybe look at a little closer to the event, like a week, 2 weeks out.
The 7th or the 14th? I would say the 7th. You want to just have that like a volunteer meeting, if you want to show up here at 7 o'clock at 7, let's do that, all
What was the
7.
date on that?
June 7th. That way, if we wanted to order glow sticks or anything, we have time for it to come in.
This group?
If it matters.
I know, but it's, the holidays, a lot of people will be buying them, it's really easy to buy 1,000 of them from that Oriole Trading and get them all in box.
Yeah,
We
I mean, I
have them
can do
on
that.
hand, and you can have them on hand from movie to movie.
Right,
whatever.
Right, yeah, anything I don't sell, I'll just continue to store and just keep bringing back with me each month. And then as I need to like replenish, so I figured for the first one, we'll shoot for 250 and then I can let you know what I had left, or if I sold out in the first, 30 minutes of being there, then we know that we need to up it. And so yeah, the first one's gonna be just kind of like a guinea pig.
But do we need to ask for money for concessions or whatever for the fireworks?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you're wanting to do.
Yeah.
Do we make a motion for what?
Is
Same
somebody
amount?
is somebody willing to be up there to work your concessions?
Well, that can be discussed. We can get approval for money and on the 7th. We can decide that. Yeah, maybe the scouts or somebody can get involved. I think closer to, do you pull from resources like firework time and other people go out there? ever asked for the help or anything in years past? Or that would be something that's sudden? I feel like everybody's just kind of gone like this in the fireworks. You know?
Well, I love the fireworks, I just never went to the park to watch them.
How much you,
I don't know, I'm just pulling out some.
I think we need to make a motion to, I mean, I'll be happy to make a motion, I throw a number out there. I don't do concessions numbers.
Maybe we should wait till the meeting on the 7th, after that meeting,
No,
to
you're,
decide how much money, okay?
still plenty of time now, but we can make some decisions.
All right.
I just don't know if I'm gonna be available to,
It's
I'll
only,
be able to go up there, so.
we make a motion by contact with my phone.
I mean, would we just need a table? And then have like bottled water and some snacks or?
And we can discuss that on the 7th.
Okay.
Then maybe do it out of the park house. Is the park house not available
I
at
do.
all?
There's gonna be
Well, I think,
There's gonna be
The
kettle.
cows.
yeah, I was gonna say, I thought Gary said there'll be kettle corn down on the
Okay,
soccer
never mind.
field.
The police department's using the park house right now, so.
That answered that question, Lauren.
I know.
The other day I drove through and I'm like, Lauren, did something bad happen at the park house? There were cops like in it, the door was open. I was like, nobody had sent a message out, so I guess we're good. I was like, I wasn't gonna stop and say, hey, what are you guys
I
doing?
know, you were even funny when you were talking about, I don't know if I should say something. Like, I don't know. I didn't know this one.
All right. I was like, I'm surely if something terrible happened, Gary would have told us. We would have gotten a message.
No, City Hall's being remodeled, so that's where they're stationed right now.
Gotcha.
All right. Good, check that off. House is moved. Okay, any other business?
Just to let you know that ALS is going to be using the park for a fundraiser on the 26th, so it's the same day as the film, as the movie, but it's in the morning.
Yeah, okay. And then, also we have 2 private rentals for the big pavilion in June. June 12th and June 6th, I believe. So expect heavier traffic up there by the pavilion and throughout the park.
You said 12 and 16?
Yeah, let me double check, but no, it's 6th and 12th. I think it's back-to-back weekends.
Okay, so a Sunday and a Saturday.
Yeah.
Can you do liquor up there?
You have to fill out the permit application and get
Is
it
it
approved.
more?
Huh?
Is it cost more?
I don't
Does it
believe
cost
so. I don't believe so. It's one application, like off the city's website. Well, it's multiple pages. Like first page is the park pavilion rental, and then it'll ask if you'll have alcohol there, and then if you check yes, then you have to fill out the next page that has the permit, and I believe chief of police signs off on that.
And what about alcohol at any other time? This was a question that was brought up to me. Is alcohol allowed?
Park rules don't typically allow it on what's in the ordinance right now.
That's what I
From
was thinking. too.
what, I'm not looking at it right now, but from what I remember, it's not allowed. But that's due to the ordinance. It's not necessarily a state law, but
No, it's, if you were, I think,
You would permit.
before it's passed, they want to know if somebody's going to have alcohol
Yeah.
there. It's not just, you have an event, people can bring their alcohol with
Yeah.
them. So it restricts it.
But you're talking about like somebody going up, like having like a 2-person picnic and having like 1 drink.
What's 2 bottles of wine?
Or wine?
Well,
Yeah.
I know glass bottles really are kind of frowned upon in most parks.
Yeah.
Because there's the possibility of a breaking.
Yeah, I mean, the way the ordinance is written right now is kind of written as like all alcohol, no matter whether you have 1 drink or 2 drinks. I don't know if that's something you want to petition to try to revisit,
Well, that's,
but I don't know what leeway is there right now. I think ultimately the Board of Aldermen have the ultimate approval on that type of, yeah. So, I mean, if that's something you guys wanted to try to revisit, think about what you would actually want the restrictions to be, pass it as a board, and then it go to the Board of Aldermen to see whether it's
I just think it's something that, being on the board, we should
Yeah.
know, yes, or someone came up to you, can you have
Right.
liquor in the park?
I think it's making sure that it's spelled out clearly so people don't, because you're always gonna have somebody try to push the limits, but like I know Forest Park, you can have alcohol there as long as you're picnicking and it's, you know, you have that food there and it's not, you're not bringing a huge cooler for everybody, you know, it's not a big party. It's just a drink with a dinner.
Right.
Or dinner with drink, but that would ultimately be Board of Aldermen approval, but you guys would want to send something to the board on that. And that might be looking at the park rules in general and bigger. Just me looking through our park rules, I feel like there's some gaps in there because we have general park rules and then there's like specific rules for the dog park. Some of our parks are dawn to dusk, some of them are like till like 11. So one thing we might want to do in the future is maybe have some sort of work session or meeting to review all the rules on there, and especially as we build this park too, what we're envisioning, some of our old rules aren't going to apply as well, or there's going to be new rules that we need to add in, so it might be something that we need to start thinking big picture, what types of
And
regulations
those
we
might
want
be
this
questions that are brought up while doing this too. And
Yeah,
we're all
so-
willy-nilly about it, you know.
So, I mean, if you get a chance, if you go to the City of St. Genevieve's website, stgenevieve.org, down at the bottom, there's E-codes there, little link for E-codes that has all the city ordinances on it. And you can go in there and you can type in the search bar Parks and Recreation, and it'll pull up all the Parks and Recreation related ordinances. And so you can look at the rules there, and just to keep in mind, I mean, not to give you guys homework, but as we go through this process and as you guys think about what's allowed and what's not allowed, what needs to change and what we need to factor in the future. I'd hesitate to do too much right now on the rules because there's so much to
There's
change
so much to change.
with the way this plan changes, but definitely something to keep in mind.
Yes, I agree.
So the way the E-code reads is consumption of alcoholic beverages without permit prohibited in city parks. So you have to get a permit.
Okay, that's what I thought,
Okay.
just so I know that, if people ask. All right. Anybody have anything else to
Or
add?
what time did you want the volunteer meeting to be on?
7, it's
At
7.
7, that's what I thought, okay. And you said here?
You can bring 7 up to drink.
7 on the 7th.
7.
Local on the sevens.
Do we need to address anything on the Fourth Friday art walk? See that on new business?
Well, down
That's on the new
there,
business.
down at Main Street Park is like a busy area. I think with everything that's going on.
I was just reading it here on new business. That was the only thing I hadn't touched on yet.
I think we need to, if we get this park thing going, you know, with that, when that gets going, it would be great to hit anything we can, just to make people aware of what's going on, you know. Until then, I don't see anything to do with the front yard walk at this point, at least June's.
No, and I just wanted to bring it up at the last meeting because they had started up again. They had canceled because of COVID and a lot of the shops were closed and stuff, but they picked up again this year, and it's I just wanted to put it in your mind, if there's opportunities there, getting involved in those types of community events is a great way to build relationships that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Really, really busy too.
Yeah.
Really busy.
All right, anybody have anything else they want to discuss?
I think I'm good.
Motion
Adjourn.
to adjourn, and a second.
Second.